podcast. My name is Grayson. I'm gonna be your host today. It's the podcast for friends and future family. And today, man, I have the privilege, so much of a privilege of mine. This guy means so much to me. I'm introducing Brad Wolgamott. This guy, man, how many accolades can I list here? Somebody who's done 3 TED Talks, a total impact player, somebody retired at the age of 27 after picking up garbage out of a parking lot, making a lot of money. We'll just say that, making a lot of money right now. He's at his home in Cabo. I am gracious enough to get some of his time, and I'm just really, really excited because this guy right here is such an impact player, has such a heart for helping people. Writing a book right now. He's just doing so many amazing things. So thank you so much, Brad. I wonder how you're doing, man.
That's great. Good to see you, Grayson. I love it. Your nomadic podcast with the door behind you. It looks like my background might be a little more fun.
No, I know, right?
Life is good, buddy. Got to start
Yeah,
somewhere, right?
I know. Yeah, you do. You do. It's all about the
I
stepping stone.
started in a little 500 square foot apartment with a beanbag chair and a sleeping bag and a stereo on a block of bricks with the particle boards on it and nothing more than top ramen and some jelly in my refrigerator, man. I remember the day.
Dude, right now, yeah, now, I mean, you just made it work with the e-commerce platform. You made it work and in that business, and it's generated passive income for you and your family for generations to move on. So
Yeah.
I know I want to get there, and we will get there. But I want to talk about first something that you really taught me to be was being a contributor, being somebody who adds value into this world, somebody who has an influence and has an impact. What does it really mean to be an impact player, especially in today's time?
Yeah, well, most people are consumers, Grayson, and that's a real problem in our world. There's too many consumers and not enough contributors. It's a political issue. It's an international issue. The reality is, if everybody takes and no one gives, we have a problem.
Right.
And all the takers keep saying is, I want the givers to give more. I want to take more. They should give more of their income. They should pay more taxes. They should do more and do more and do more. Shelly used to work for a massive corporation, my wife, and she said it was a lot easier to get 10% more out of someone who's already giving 90 than it was to get 5% out of someone that was giving 20. The problem is that consumption is like a habit. Contribution is a mindset. The difference between mentorship and coaching is people have been coached on what to do, how to work, how to show up, get a list of things, go to work for somebody. Mentorship is teaching someone how to think. And learning how to think means that you got to be a proactive person versus a reactive thing. You got to ask yourself, how can I make a contribution? I have people come over to my home. This is a really simple example. And they're guests and they're staying for a week or a month, or even sometimes they stay for 2 months because they're in some kind of a healing mode of their life and they stay at our resort/home. And they really struggle with the idea of contributing. And what I try to teach people is look for the opportunity to serve. There's no medicine for the soul like serving other broken people. If you want to heal yourself, serve others, heal others. Right? It's the story Anthony Robbins tells about when his little boy got 10 balloons. And before you know it, what do most balloons that are full of helium do? They float on the ceiling and you're off to the next thing. Well,
Right.
his dad was kind of frustrated, so he took him down to the rest home and he went bed to bed giving out 10 balloons to 10 different people. And next thing you know, he made an impact for the rest of life. It wasn't that he received, it was that he contributed. So a contribution mindset basically says instead of waiting for someone to serve you, look for the opportunity to serve others. Nothing will make you feel better than being productive, right? This is why socialism doesn't work. This is why welfare doesn't work. This is why societies have been given money years after year after year, and we've seen many, many different types of organizations where people just hand it out, and it actually destroys them. They get addicted to the fact someone has to take care of me and give to me. I want to teach people the mindset of look for every opportunity to serve. He who serves the masses lives with the classes. He who serves the classes lives with the masses. What does that mean? The more people you serve, the more money you make. If you have a job, you work for one person, you serve one person, you make job income. If you own a business, you serve thousands, then you make a lot more money. Your income is in direct relation to the number of people you contribute to.
Nice.
It's a great question, a really important concept that people have to be mentored to really get to that point where he who serves the most lives the richest life.
So, what's the gap between somebody being somebody who's just a consumer right now? What are some steps that they can take to slowly get into that mindset of being a servant? What are some things you'd give them?
Well, there's a book I read years ago, and I think it's called The Generosity Factor. I could be wrong on that, but we all have 4 T's. And we all have the opportunity to be generous with these 4 T's: our time, our talent, our treasure, and our testimony. And every one of us needs to look for an opportunity to give our time. Volunteer at a hospital, volunteer at a homeless, volunteer at a children's program, but volunteer, give your time. Or find a way to start a business that is involved around mentoring people or serving people. Become a consultant, become a little league coach, become a business coach, be someone that adds value and contribute your time. Don't charge for it, give it away, right? We can also be generous with our talent, right? Whether that be I'm an athlete, so I can teach. I don't used to be an athlete. I can teach people how to play baseball or play tennis. Teach their talents and help people with the technology, help them with the language, help them with the musical instrument. Teach them to fish, for crying out loud. But take your talent you've got and find people and teach them. Then you can be generous with your treasures, right? We all have a mountain full of junk in our house that we could probably just give away, right? Some of those treasures are your stories, your testimony. Some of those treasures are things you've been through, right? No one knows the pain in a man's soul until they've walked 1,000 miles in their shoes. So we don't know what's going on until we get transparent and say, this is my life, this is my story. They say the wisest man or woman in a room is the person who made the most mistakes and not afraid to talk about them. I had this conversation just the other night. I met with a billionaire down here in Cabo, and he owns multiple marinas and hundreds of thousands of square feet of commercial space in Austin, Texas. And we got this conversation, and he was blown away by that statement, right? Just look for ways to contribute and be generous. And he realized that he'd made a lot of mistakes, and the reason he became successful is he wasn't embarrassed by them. He got better versus bitter. And we all have a story, right? We all have a test, but you got to turn it into a story so you can empower others. The silver lining in every issue we've ever been through is helping other people get through the exact same situation. So you don't need any money to be generous. Use your time, talent, treasure, or testimony.
Man, that is amazing. I hope all the viewers right now are taking some notes. And Brad, I gotta say, there's probably somebody watching this right now that just thinks that they can't speak the way you do and that they can't have what you have, right? And
Yeah.
somebody, you've done. I like to call you the comeback story, right? You didn't have much, but you had a dream, you had a heart, you had some fire, and you made it happen. You stopped at nothing to make that happen. So, for somebody who's here that might have an idea, how do you take that idea? Because I see a lot of people that have an idea and then they never make it happen, right? They don't maybe not have the motivation, they might have the counsel, whatever it may be, but they have this great idea. What do they do? What's the gap between making that idea something a reality? Because you did that. You had an idea, you knew what you wanted, you had your goals, and you made it happen in a comeback story kind of victory. So what is that for you? And how do you help somebody bridge that gap?
Well, first of all, you got to get over some fear. And the only way to overcome fear is with action. Fear is your response to something dangerous. Danger is real, but fear is your reaction to choice. So you got to look at something like public speaking is a big thing. Well, it's not dangerous to you physically, but it might be dangerous to your self-image. What if I fail? What if I choke? What if I don't know what to say? Well, that's your fear speaking, not the true danger. The danger is nothing can really happen, but I can let fear create a outcome. It's like negative goal setting. What if it goes bad? Well, what if it goes great? What if it goes awesome? So what happened for me was I was petrified to speak. Something like this would just scare me. You didn't give me any questions. You didn't give me advance notice. You didn't tell me anything you wanted to ask about. You're like, hey, can I just interview? I'm like, yeah, sure. I'm not afraid because I want to talk about my life, right? My experiences and my failures and some of my victories and some of my successes and some of my things that I'm not so proud of. That's just life. Get over the fear of trying to impress other people, the fear of other people's opinions, and just learn to serve. Learn to recognize that when you have an opportunity to say something, don't try to impress, try to empower. If anybody that you're talking about is watching this broadcast, if they're like I was, 18, starting a business with nothing going for me, no education, went through high school, decent athlete, went pro, got in a car accident, was done playing tennis. Now what? I'm working in construction today, a janitor at night, cleaning parking lots, doing all kinds of crap to make a nickel. Who would listen to me? But I decided to start increasing my value. Okay, Grayson? Now, people go to college to increase their value, and they get taught knowledge, right? Whether it be mathematics, accounting, engineering, computer technology, legal things, right? Some people go to college just to get a mate for their life, okay? But the idea is to increase your intellectual asset. So books are more or less free these days. Whether you go to the library or you get them online, they're so inexpensive, and there's millions and millions and millions of dollars of wealth in books. If you're not reading a book a week, you're not trying. If you're not watching 3 or 4 TED Talks a week, you're not trying. If you're not listening to an audio every day in your car, you're not trying. I'm not mad at you. I'm just calling it out. If you're wondering why you're not advancing, it's because you're not advancing your mind, right? Understand the equation. It's thoughts, words, action, habit, character, destiny, legacy. Thoughts is what? I put stuff into my brain. I think about it. Eventually, I confess it, and I start speaking it. How do I add value to others? I take it in, and I impart it. I share it. Whatever that might be. If that's prosperity fundamentals, if it's confidence, if it's affirmations, if it's love, if it's grace, if it's God's presence, if it's financial, if it's legal, if I have it in here, I can share it. But if I don't fill up, I got nothing to give. I'm wringing out a dry sponge. There's nothing coming out. So the way for me to add value to this world, to make more wealth in my world, is I got to increase my personal value, so therefore I can share with you. If I want to create long-term massive wealth, I got to learn how to empower you to empower others. And when I met you, young kid, if I remember correctly, kind of live in your car, kind of in between, trying to scramble, and look at you now. It's not like you're a millionaire, but you're not in your car anymore. You're not living in a tool shed anymore. You got your own spot, you got your own income, you got your own car, you got a good job, you're creating something dynamic. You have increased your intellectual asset to where you can inspire others. So the biggest advice I can give you to get started is start personal development in a massive way. I mean, like, get the music out of your car unless that's your reward. I love music, but it was a reward to me. If I've read my book, if I've watched my TED, we didn't have TED back then, so I had to buy VHS. But if I'd watched my video, listened to my audio, and done all the things, my affirmations, then I could reward myself with the music of the hour, whatever vibe I happen to be on. Because I do love music, but it had to be like dessert, and I get my proteins and my veggies before I got to my dessert, right?
Oh yeah, no, that's so amazing. One thing you kind of sparked in my mind a little bit while you were talking is that, you didn't let anybody get to you, and you got to call people out. And there's some people out there who try to be the victim more than they try to be the victor, right? It's always why me. It's not why me, it's try me, So how do you not let anything get to you, while you were building your business, while you were taking some no's, while you had to just shuffle through, show a million people, how did you get through that and not have that victim mindset?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question, Grayson, but it did get to me. It got to me, but I turned that get to me into something very powerful, right? I mean, my dad, hammered me, and I could hear him in my head all the time. You're never going to make it. What are you doing? You're wasting time. Get a job. Be like your brother. Go to school. Become, a doctor, blah, blah, blah. And here I am, 2.0 grade point, okay? And my dad and people around me hammered me, saying, get a life. Man, grow up. Why can't you do what everybody else does? And I made myself a note, like, okay, you've now drawn the line in the sand, you've thrown the gauntlet, and it's game on. Either you're right or I'm right, and guess what? I control the outcome. And so I took their negativity and I played it in a way that said, never stop. Train, work, get up before everybody else, stay up later than everybody else. Cut the videos out, cut the games out, cut the movies out, cut the drinking out, cut the smoking out, cut everything out. I became a machine because either they're right or I'm right. And I was not going to let them be right by listening to their negativity and let it stop me. I let it inspire me. But that took some time. I'm not going to lie, man. I used to get pretty bummed out, depressed, and think they're right. And it really let it bother me until one day I just said, that's it. Every time I think negative, I'm going to take an action. Every time I think of what they're laughing at me or saying it won't work or you need to go to college or blah, 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 I'm going to work harder. because I know for a fact hard work beats talent, because talent typically won't work hard. And I learned to grind. Blue collar Brad, grind it and get it done. And as a result, in my early 20s, I was beginning to win. By my middle 20s, I was winning. By my later 20s, I was a multimillionaire and I had won. Then it became the rest of my life, how many people can I help do what I've done? Can I pay it forward? Can I answer the blessing? I'd received so much, it was now time to give it to others.
Man, that's a perfect segue. So knowing that you've achieved so much success and have just influenced so many people to do great things around you, you just have this great aura. Anybody that gets around you just starts winning. I don't know what it is, but you have something about you. Somebody gets around you and they just start freaking winning. They just feel love. They feel the grace. And I really thank you for that. And having achieved what you've achieved, what's in the future for you? What do you plan to do here in the next, season of your life?
Yeah. Well, first of all, impact is impartation, not education. I want to say that first, because impartation is what people feel. Okay. Education is what they hear, right? You don't transform with knowledge. You transform with feeling. People don't remember what you say. They remember how they feel. So it's all about filling yourself up to the point, not where you have knowledge, but you've got some energy behind you, some feel, some love, some passion. Football players call it a chip on their shoulder, but they got to learn how to get the E in motion. So they get the emotion happening, okay? Ooh. So right now, I'm in a stage where I am really filling myself up. I've read probably 30 books in the last 2 months, okay? Wow. I'm asking God to show me where he wants me to go and what he wants me to do, because I want to help people heal. This election has exposed the fact that we are a very divided country. And I want to be part of the healing of that. And I don't care who someone votes for. You're a great creation. You're a great human being. And there's value in life. And whether your candidate wins or not, there's still going to be your life left. And you got to figure out how you're going to go win in your game. Not which president, not which government, not which system. How are you going to learn to win for your family? If one candidate wins and you lose your ability to change, well, then you're a victim to things you can't control. And I learned years ago, you got to learn to control the controllables. And if you give control to the uncontrollables, then you are a victim. And I'm never going to be a victim. I'm going to live in victory. So I'm in that season where I am feeling myself at such a high level that I can't wait to see it come down the other side. But I can guarantee you it will be about mentoring people to be great. I call them professional financial athletes, or PFAs. I'm all about teaching people how to get debt-free, how to understand our tax code, how to understand trust, how to understand portfolio income, how to understand passive income, how to understand active income, and how to put themselves in a position when they're no longer at the woes and whims of a government shutdown, that no matter what happens, they put themselves in a position to be fluid and reactive enough that they can create a great destiny for their lives in the future. So exactly how that shakes out, I'm anxious to see. But usually God opens doors for me through people. And as I connect with more people, and even being down here at this Bisbee's, I don't know if you know what the Bisbee's is, it's the largest fishing derby in the world. First prize is $4.5 million. And it's the who's who of the fishing world. Like the average boat out there's about 3.5 to 4 million fishing boats. And many of them are 8, 9, and 10. There's one that's out here about 30 or 40 million. A couple of them, I think, actually in the 20 million range. They all fly in their private jets. And it's been really cool to get around these guys and say, tell me how you think. Tell me about your family. Tell me about your kids. Tell me about your faith. Why do you think you won and people haven't? What keeps you going? And build these incredible connections. So I'm all about helping the average guy that's sick and tired of being average, that wants to find a way to get up and win again. And sometimes you just need someone to get that extra 2 pounds on that little bench. You've been a bench press, and you're going at it, and you start to get nervous, and someone puts their fingers there. 1 pound of pressure, and boom, away it goes. It was the fact that they were there. It wasn't their help. It was the fact that they were there that gave you the confidence to push through the pain. And that's oftentimes what we do for people.
Wow. That's amazing. So you said that you were just connecting with quite a few successful people, quite a few multimillionaires, and you've had the privilege of, you're just always in that student mindset. What can I learn? What can I learn? So you've met with people like John Maxwell, just some great influencers out there. What's a common trend that you see between people that are in the, top 20%, 10%, 5%, really successful people and people that are just average? What do you see as a trend in those people that are really successful?
Yeah. Well, top 20% is average.
Okay. Yeah.
50% is not average. 50% is extreme poverty. If you're in the top 20%, you're average. You're just making 100 grand or 60, 70 grand. I'm talking about meeting with the top 1/10 of 1/10 of 1%, the billionaires. How do they think? And some of them got it through what I call the Lucky Sperm Club. They inherited it, right? And that's fine for them. But the people that I enjoy chatting with, like this one guy I met, he's from Iraq. And he moved here with his family when he was like 7 with nothing as a religious refugee. And started a couple businesses. They failed. A couple more businesses. They failed. So from like 23 to like 47, he basically failed. And about 10 years ago, he finally figured out how to stop failing. And now I don't even know what he's worth. He has 2 private aircraft, 100,000 square feet. He's a neat guy. And he has 2 sons with him. They absolutely adore their father, which is the first thing I look for. 20 and 19-year-old good-looking young men, and they just love their dad. And I'm like, tell me how you did that, right? Tell me how you created that relationship. Tell me how you created dynamic wealth and success and still kept the relationship with your children. Because I also see the other side of wealth where they become a lot of jerks. And there's a few jerks down here, I'm not going to lie. Really wealthy people. But usually the jerks are the ones that didn't earn it. The guy that came from grassroots, like my mentor in Seattle, he started off as a used car salesman in Bremerton. And now he has 1,800 employees, and he's worth several $billion. But he's so humble because he came from nothing. So I look for the guys that really came from just guts and grinding and found a way to win and a way to win. I met with another guy. He had a $9 million fishing boat, and he put this multi-$1,000 sushi spread out for us one night. And we just sat up and drank some beers and ate sushi for hours on end. And I interviewed him. And he didn't know I was being interviewed, but I was like, dude, I'm sitting here. He's like, yeah, sit down, Brad. First of all, I know this one thing. He remembered my name the first time I told him. That was very unique. First time. Hey, Brad, come on over here. I'm like, I just met you, and I don't know I would have forgotten your name. His name is Eric, by the way. I had to take me a couple times to get it, but what was cool is he started a maintenance company. How glorious is maintenance? Not very glorious.
It's all right.
But he sold his company for $1 billion.
Ooh.
I met another kid. He's not quite a billionaire yet, but he started a lawn mowing business when he was 13. At 18, he sold it for $4 million.
My God.
Went into business again.
Oh, cow.
Started mowing lawns again. Got commercial contracts. Now he's 26, and he just sold a second business. He closed the day he got here for $30 million.
Wow.
And what he was doing is he was down here treating the man that helped him get most of his clients to a $100,000 trip. He treated a guy to a $100,000 gift because he says, you made such an impact in my life and helped me create such. Let me do one thing for you. Let me take you to the greatest fishing spectacle on planet Earth. And I had a chance to sit down and talk with these guys in these mega mansions as they pulled up in their jets at the Cabo runway, and then a limo brings them to go fishing. And I'm like, I didn't realize fishing was such a cool way to meet down-to-earth people. But typically it's just a bunch of Joes that grew up fishing in their backyard, fishing bass or trout or crappie, and now they're fishing for a couple $1 million every single day. It's pretty neat. But I just want to get around them because it's about how they think that I need to absorb that allow me to take my life to the next level.
Right on, man. That's like I said, just complimenting that you're always a student and trying to get around people and see how they think, how they tick. I remember you talked, and I want you to kind of elaborate on it a little bit more. There's a difference between being process driven and outcome focused, and kind of what you just described to me about the guy who started the maintenance company. It isn't glorious, it isn't glamour, it isn't luxury, right? But he sold it, and he could live the life that he wanted. He designed it, right?
Yeah.
What does that mean to be more outcome focused versus process driven in life?
Yeah, well, process driven basically means that they're going to execute a business plan A, B, C, D, and never get any further than that. Okay. Outcome says, what's the Z? Right? How do I want this story to end? And now I'm going to execute A through Z with the intention of getting to Z. So typically, people that have jobs, no matter how much they're making, they're process oriented because they're thinking this job to that job. Rarely are they thinking lifelong plan. Rarely are they thinking 30, 40 years. Rarely are they thinking multi-generation. Rarely are they thinking about their grandkids' kids, right? So outcome focus says exactly how do you want to live, and then reverse engineer. Okay, here I am. I want to go here. How do I get there? If you think about it, if you and I were sitting around having a chat one day and you're like, hey, Brad, you like to snowboard? I go, I love the snowboard. He goes, dude, there's going to be a 24-inch drop in about 5 days at Jackson Hole. Let's go. Let's go heli skiing. I'd be like, yeah. When? Where? How much? Who's going to go? Execute. But what got me to take the action? 24 inches of snow, Jackson Hole. Now, in other words, it's the dream that activated the plan. People today have become afraid to dream because they think it's silly or wishful thinking, when it's the dream that activates the plan. So you got to have process, but you won't make it through the process if you're not pulled by this dream. Now, the other side of that, for some people who are wired differently, they aren't pulled, they're pushed. They're pushed by a nightmare. For me, I had both going. I wanted to provide a life for my wife. I wanted my kids at the best education. I wanted them a full-time daddy. I wanted to make an impact around the world. I wanted to be able to play an instrument. I wanted to learn martial art. I wanted to learn multiple languages. I wanted to write books. I wanted to make an impact. And then the other side, I didn't want to be a loser. I didn't want the negative people to be right. I didn't want to be broke. I didn't want to have a job for 30, 40 years. I didn't want to be worried about losing my job in some kind of an economic crisis. I didn't want to have my wife to have a job because I wasn't man enough to make enough money so she could have the glory of being a mommy. I believe a lot of moms want to be mommies, but they have to make money because daddy-o's not making enough. And I don't mean there's a knock on guys, but it's a knock if they're not willing to do something about it, because I think my responsibility is to treat my wife as the greatest gift I've ever received in life. And you don't take your greatest gift you've ever received in your life and say, go get a job and make money. You say, let me bless you and bless you and bless you, and I will do the heavy loading. I will carry the heavy stuff. I'll do the hard work. I'll work the hours. I'll grind. So my greatest gift gets treated like a cherished gift. So outcome focus was two things. One, what I wanted, and also what I wanted to really avoid. And I made both those things create the E in my emotion. It made me action, because when I lay down in bed, I had to ask myself two things. Am I farther away from my nightmare, and am I closer to my dream? And if the answer was yes, I slept well. If the answer was I'm not sure, I'd get back up and read for 20 more minutes and do one more thing. So I went to bed, I could say, good job, buddy. You're closer.
Man, every single day getting 1% better. There's this Navy SEAL that talks about just making his bed in the morning so he can come home and be to something successful. And you really preached that in my mind. I can't lay my head down on my pillow at night until I know I did something, until I know I got my audio, and until I know I got my book in. And something you said a little bit earlier that really sparked it is there's two ways to motivate somebody. You poke the bear or you show the bear, right? So 4-minute mile wasn't possible until somebody did it, right?
Yep.
Impossible until it's proven possible. So, man, I really, really love what you're talking about right now. And I just want to give the listeners just one last chance to hear, what's your vision for the world? What's your vision for just a guy sitting in his bed who has no motivation to get up, but knows he has potential, right? What's your vision for people around the world?
Well, I would say, first of all, stop judging yourself. Right? I don't know what's going on in your world why you wouldn't be out running hard and winning in life, but it's probably shame. Right? It's probably you got guilt is when you do something wrong. Shame is when you think you are something wrong. And you need to recognize that you're not something wrong, that you're created in the likeness of a great God. Whether you believe in God or not, I believe that you're created in the likeness of a very powerful being. And I believe that you can do all things. And I believe that it's going to take some work, some co-laboring, some reading, and some studying, but they are things that you can do. But it won't happen unless you get out of bed, unless you put down your television, if you put down your game controller, if you put down your phone and start learning and adding value. It's a little bit at a time. Input, thoughts, words, action, habit. Habits are actions repeated again, 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 to a point where it's character. Character is what defines you. Character is what you do and think about when no one knows what you're doing and thinking about. It's that defines you. It's the deep part of you, and your character determines your destiny, and your destiny determines the story to tell when you're dead and gone, your legacy. And it all starts off with input. So what do I suggest you do? Pick up a book and start reading. Grind on some stuff. And I don't mean like fantasy books. I mean, pick up something like as simple as The Go-Giver and The Go-Getter, and get the fundamentals of what it means to serve and what it means to be a hard worker. The Go-Giver and The Go-Getter are great books. Imagine You Think Big, one of the oldest books on the planet. Teaches you how to think big, how to win friends and influence people, teach you how to connect with people. I wasn't very good at it. I had to learn how to smile and laugh and say hello and shake a hand and look them in the eye and dress right. And I didn't do any of that stuff. But I sure as heck wouldn't be living in this super sick place. One of my, I was trying to figure out today, I think it's 6 or 7 homes. There's no way.
Yeah.
I'd be doing that if I'd allowed myself to stay in that 500 square foot apartment, being a janitor at night, swinging a hammer in the day, driving a $500 car. There's no way I went from there to multiple homes and private aircraft and 7 and 8 digits in the bank if I hadn't been willing to make an investment. I was broke and I was dumb. I can change the dumb one, and that will fix the financial one. Okay?
My gosh. Thank you so much, Brad. I know you blessed me today, and I know you blessed a lot of people that were listening.
Awesome.
Once again, guys, this is the Nomadic Podcast. My name is Grayson, and I had the pleasure of interviewing Brad Wolgamott, my coach and my mentor in my life. Thank you guys so much. We're going to be signing off.
All right. God bless y'all. Hope to see you again sometime.